Sparky Coach Pod member questions. Got them in this A4 piece of paper. I had to write Phoenix's lunch order out today. The handwriting is so bad. Borderline, like, can't read it. I can't read it.
Were you disappointed in yourself or the education system? Which one? What failed you?
The education system, definitely, 100%. Yeah, Phoenix was like, I can't even read that, Dad. I'm like,
you go Phoenix.
Yeah. I'm like,
perfect cursive writing.
Yeah. Perfect cursive. That's a Billy Madison quote, 101. All right. So how old is he when he's going in perfect cursive? He's like 30. So funny.
Yeah, has to be. He's just sitting on the couch in Daddy's mansion.
It's such a good movie. Eric is pregnant. All right, talking about diversification here. Member question came in. How do you know when to diversify? What do you diversify into? When, how, what?
Can you spell diversification?
Yeah, can you? In perfect cursive. Anyway, probably not. So now this is really interesting, and I'll be sharing my story coming through. And I think first and foremost with diversification, you've got to look at a couple of things. You got to look at like town, space, and place. So region. If you're generally speaking, the further you are outside a city, the more you're going to have to do everything, because everyone sucks. So if you're outside the city and you're in some obscure town in the middle of nowhere, you might have the town on lock. You might be able to do aircon, electrical, solar, CCTV, data. I'm just picturing all the stuff that the wholesaler sells. But you might be able to do everything and do it really well. If you're inside a city, like in the middle of a city, chances are more likely than not you've got some more specialists. Because just the work is there, the people are there, right? I don't know how many people are in Sydney at this point, but like lots. Let's just say there's lots of people versus not so many people. I should just look it up, but I won't. But lots of people in Sydney. So referencing my story, we would just do electrical. Tommy from Rylec would do our automation, CCTV, alarms, like anything like that. Because that's, in my head, that's its own industry. Could we have diversified into it? Yeah, 100% at a certain point. But would it have been beneficial? No, not at that point. So you kind of see, like, the closer you are to the city, I feel like the more you've got to create strategic partnerships. So we will do electrical, and then we'll partner with someone else doing aircon, and then we'll partner they'll do solar, and this person will do whatever. And the more people you get in your strategic alliance, you might even say, the more you can drip feed work to everyone. So the aircon companies we used to work with, they wouldn't do submains. So sweet. So we'll do all your submains. So it's like, but we wouldn't do aircon. So we would pass it to them. But I definitely feel like that is a style. It's not right. There's no right or wrong. It's like what fits your demographic, what fits your business structure. Because once you grow, and if you grow your, let's say, electrical business or aircon business, whatever, you grow that and you get to 10 staff, 12 staff, 15 staff, or what, it doesn't matter. You get to an element of staff. Now you've got 3,000 clients, 5,000 clients. So of those 5,000 clients, they like you, let's say they love you, let's say they die on a hill for you. Now you can be like, hey guys, we're also doing solar. We're also doing aircon. We're also doing this now. So now you don't have to build your client base up. You don't have to build the trust up. You don't have to build any relationships up. You've just got this new offering you're doing. So that can be incredibly, incredibly beneficial to your company. Flash back to reality, M&M style, right? When I first started out, I was doing aircon and electrical. So I had an apprentice and I grew the team, but I was the only person who could gas a unit up, flare a unit, whatever. I was a person there because everyone else is electricians, and it was starting to slow the business down. Now, anyone who's worked between solar, aircon, and electrical will know it's 3 different van setups, right? And this is when gas. This is when gas was actually off the shelf. It was very easy to get. Nowadays, it's incredibly, I'm sure they make you sign something like NDA to even get it. But it's a lot harder than it used to be. Obviously, this is talking 20 years ago. But coming into the whole thing, it's like, I had to make a decision. Okay, I am the bottleneck of this aircon. I'm the only one who can do it. Like, can I employ someone? I didn't have any contacts at that point. Contacts at that point, and it was really slowing our electrical work down, which was quite profitable. I didn't have any buying power of the units, which is huge. So I was buying them from my old boss, who was a Dakin dealer. You know how the wholesalers are always flogging that new aircon brand that won't be around in 3 years' time, So you don't want to be partnering on like Blu-ray or some kind of hectic company that's going to crash and burn. No, I swear there was one called Blu-ray or Blue Tech or Blue something. Can
I
someone bring
remember. I remember a brand called Roxland.
rocks? Perfect. Yeah, I've got three in my house.
It does not exist.
Yeah, you call for warranty, and it's like, this number does not exist. Or the guy's going, CC, no English. Or there's no phone number. You can't contact them. Doesn't exist anymore. So you want to be partnering with reputable brands. Aircon's so materials heavy. So generally speaking, the rough breakdown electrically, 10 grand electrical invoice, 7 is labor, 3 is materials, generally speaking.
Roughly,
right?
yeah.
And flip that the other way for aircon, 7 is materials, 3 is labor, or something not too dissimilar to that. So aircon's heavy materials. So obviously the more you buy, the cheaper you get it for. That's generally the rule of thumb. Which is fair enough as well. 100%, no one's going to argue with that. It's like a wholesale rate, which kind of neither here nor there. This is cost plus work in a nutshell to someone else. It's like if someone's spending 500 grand a year with you, do they get a discount? And the discount might be like, we just work cost plus in, whatever, sideways comment. But like coming into this whole thing, it's like I had to make a decision at that point. We're doing lots, and then I had to be focused. We're also doing a bunch of intercoms, CCTV, all this kind of stuff. And this is back in the day with like RG59 Fig 8 combo table. This is back in the day of Cat 5. Yeah, Cat 5 kind of stuff. Like it was definitely, for me personally and my business model, and this is why you've got to sort of reference yourself. I remember this intercom wasn't working, and I'm like, I don't know how to fix it. I had no idea. If it was a fault, fine on like electrical, 100%. I'm cooking, like fine, no dramas. Put me anywhere, I'm going to find that fault and be able to rectify it. And I'm going to be very, very confident. Put me on an intercom fault or a home automation fault or an aircon fault, I'm going to be like back. You know that episode of The Simpsons when Homer like backs into the bushes when he sees Ned Flanders and he goes like just back into the green bush? That's me backing into the green bush. Like CC, no English, like can't do it. So I had to make a decision. If I pursue that, I'm going to need to employ someone that firstly knows what they're doing, that can handle the faults. Secondly, I'm going to have to work out a whole bunch of gear. Not impossible, not saying it's impossible. Or thirdly, I look at, say, Tommy from Rylec, and I'm like, this guy's perfect. He didn't touch electrical at that point. I think he's come back around to not touch electrical. Hi, Tom, if you're listening as well.
Shout out to Tom.
Shout out to the big T-Rex. We never called him that, just call him Big Tommy. Anyway, so T-Rex is an aggressive nickname. Like if I said to you, oh, you want to come for a beer at the pub with my mate T-Rex, like where does your head go?
An enormous human being
with little hands.
Probably there's a few things that come. So either like this enormous human being, probably like an ex-footy player or something like that, or a guy with like really, really small hands,
or a little guy, and a T-Rex is like a. You know, on Starsky,
yeah, like
Big Mike.
Yeah, like how you call him like Big Red, and it's like anyway.
Little, yeah. Anyway, maybe he's just got incredible hunchback with really little hands, and he's flopping them out like a T-Rex. Anyway, or really long nails like a talon. So coming into that, so Tommy was a perfect fit because I was like, okay, sweet. I don't want to handle that. It's such an industry, and I think the more you get into the home automation, the more you realize it is an industry, and I actually believe they're working together to make it an actual TAFE course at this point, like Tommy with some kind of government situation. But it's so interesting to be like, okay, sweet. So I'm going to pick that model, pick and choose it, and nail that. And then everything else can be subcontracted, hopefully with a margin on top or with no margin on top. Doesn't really matter at that point. It's more just like, are we providing the correct service to the client? So I feel like the diversification situation is so bespoke and so subjective I think it's just about nailing what you do well and being able to grow and sustain a successful business out of it. So a lot of the success you see with businesses diversifying well, they'll get to a certain point in electrical, then they'll branch out to solar or aircon because they've got the capital now to employ the right people, set up the vans different. They've got divisions and you've already got the client base. So you're not double hustling. You've hustled once, you've found your people and you're working with them. When you see people try and do too much too early, it can be, not all the time, it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous. It can be like, yeah, what are you training for the Olympics? I'm training for freestyle and 100-meter sprint, and I'm training for javelin and Is knife throwing in the Olympics? Surely.
Look, I don't believe it is.
Darts?
I know a lot of people are going to be shocked by that, but no, it's not.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm like, let me write an email now. I'm jumping on. So yeah. Anyway, that's why.
Shoot for the stars if that's what you're into, knife throwing.
Maybe you can get it into the Olympics with knife throwing. It's pretty. I mean, it's a pretty gnarly sport. But I guess javelin in an essence is sort of big spear throwing.
It's javelin and fencing.
Darts in the Olympics.
Fighting. Darts is not in the Olympics. No,
should be.
Draw a crowd.
Yeah. Anyway, diversification. So full blown. I don't have an answer because everyone's situation is so different and everyone's town is a little bit different. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's an answer so much. I think it's more about an understanding. So I look at diversification in two ways. So there's diversification as like top level, which is essentially the type of work. Want to call it like a speciality as such, which you touched on there. There's electrical, there's aircon, there's solar, there's the data. I would even say there's data and communications, and then on to the side of that, there's like your automation, CCTV and stuff. Like I know guys who just do hectic data and comm install. So I'm talking like fiber, the Cat, whatever you want to call them now, Cat 6s, 7s, all that sort of stuff. So they do that. So there's different. That's sort of like the speciality around it all. There's obviously, Crowy's touched on there around like there's different ways that you can move into. You can lean out of as well a little bit too. So I would say most people when they're kicking off, and if you're listening to this, is that I'm going to say most of us, or all of us have fallen into this category, is that because we're pretty good, like you're definitely good at what you do, that you probably were capable of doing multiple areas. So you could throw a splitty in, you can do the electrical, you got no qualms doing some CCTV and intercom. And I think a lot of that, I think the key underlies is that it's in your best interest. And I'm going to say that as a business owner, that you sit in the higher end of motivated sparkies, full stop, or motivated tradies, full stop. So generally speaking, it's sure I can do that. Yes, I can do that. So that you have a want and a need to figure it out, right? But as staff come on board, a lot of staff, they don't have the same interest and or passion potentially and or capabilities. So like there's a number of things in there, but someone might be a brilliant electrician. They just have zero interest in intercoms. And I think you need to understand that that's okay, because I think if you step back and ask yourself, like, do you actually have an interest in intercoms, or were you just doing them because it was the add-on that was easy to offer to your clients because everyone kept asking you? I'm going to say, like, from my point of view, I have zero interest in intercoms. That's just me. I'm not passionate about it. And probably because I feel that they've gone to a level over the last decade that you actually really need to be doing them all the time to actually understand them. Right.
It's also way, right? Like, so I look at the units we used to do, we would subcontract out their MATV, which was usually you're running, I don't know if you do this anymore, but you're running like 5 RG11s from the top for the dish down to your matrix, the mothership, the control board, whatever you want to call it. And then everything went out, like 2 RG6s went out, and then they diplex it out for the 3 at the outlet. So, but usually we're running it and someone would contract in and do it and they test all the levels. I'm not saying you can't do that yourself, but it's incredibly difficult to scale a crew and be excellent at everything. I'm a big believer that people need diversification. 100% they do. But we used to contract out our thermal imaging. We used to contract out our home automation, our intercom, our alarm. We used to contract out our aircon. And I guess what I'm saying is tell me you live in a city without telling me you live in a city. Like this is like Sydney based. Like, but that was once again back to it was a geographical situation, and it was also a workload situation. It was also a what can we do excellently? Like, can I handle those 10 things and maintain an excellent reputation? Or let's face it, if you cook one of those items for a major client, your reputation's shot. So it's like, and there's also an argument to be like, if I refer someone and they cook it, my reputation's shot, because this is why you got to be so careful with referrals and so careful with like, I know big things that, in other coaching companies, they speak about strategic alliances and or partnership programs and referrals. I'm like, do you want that person representing you? That because you are essentially the business until you're gone, and even still, more than likely, you still be the business. But like, you've really, really got to go there and be like, am I comfortable and confident that the product that we can do it excellently? If not, well, okay, I've got two options. Can I make it excellent in-house? And that might mean employing someone, changing structure, whatever. Or it might mean contracting it out. And it might even mean contracting it out to get to a certain point and then getting one of those people over for you and running that division. Like there's lots of options, but I think as long as your product is remaining excellent, and a lot of the stuff we used to do in units, say back to the MATV system, back to the intercom with all the fob cards and stuff, like zero. I don't know what I'm doing in that sense. So if someone calls up for another fob card, also fob, I'm like, I don't want to do that. So contract that out, put that in someone else's court, make it excellent. And I reckon like someone like an automation company you can do the holistic thing excellently. And then once you've done that excellently, then do you branch out to electrical, or even look at some of the companies we work with in aircon or that are getting bigger at that 3 to 5 mil turnover or whatever, or plus. Now they're looking at diversifying into solar, air. Perfect, because you've got your client base, you've got your staff, you've got your staff at that point want a bit of challenge. Maybe they want to learn something new. So now you've got the dual trade enticement of like, oh, hey, Cam, you come work for me, I'll train you in automation. Sweet, perfect. So you've got like, you're creating this hub of excellence that employs the best people, that trains the best people, that has a pathway forward across multiple industries that can upskill people. So there's lots to love about it at certain points. But there's lots to be like, if we just peel it back and be like, as long as we're being excellent with the whole thing and retaining the clients we work so hard to get, super cool with it. But don't underestimate as well. Like, let's just say I don't have it in-house. Like we didn't have it in-house. We multiplied it out. So we would get calls from this before we used Tommy. Well, Tommy was home automation. Then we used this other guy, Pete, who was doing our intercom CCTV at that point. Legend guy. If anyone's in Sydney, let us know. He's the one of the nicest guys I ever met. He would get all these data jobs, CCTV, alarm system stuff. He'd get this job and be like, hey, do you want to come wire it? I'm like, yeah, sweet. So we'd go and get these 3-day jobs, 5-day jobs, 2-week jobs, 1-day jobs, whatever. We'd go and do it. So now we're helping him with labor and materials. So you've got that partnership there. Now we're running submains for aircon companies. So now we're getting clients from our clients are giving us clients. So that's the one thing to underestimate. Like a powerful partnership with an IT company is huge. The IT guys we used to work with, they had like 300 to 500 clients in Sydney. So we got in with them. Now we get chipped into their 300 to 500 clients. So if I try and do it in-house, right, it's cool. And maybe in certain areas it works, but I'm missing out on their client base. So that's what I really want. I really want their client base. Like, so looking at, say, the automation stuff, if they don't do electrical, bam, now I've got like their client level 2. So finding a level 2 that doesn't do electrical work is pretty huge. And I think that's important because you don't want to risk losing any work to someone, or you want to have those hard conversations. So if you're using a level 2, and I don't know what they call it in Melbourne, like a truck appointment, what do you guys call it? Ergon.
Hey, we don't have level 2.
You guys just do it yourself, right? So
no, it's just done by the Energy Authority.
Cool, yeah. So in Sydney, you need, or New South Wales, you need like a level 2 to come in and hook it up by like anything like boundary onwards, essentially, and meters. So it's interesting to be like, you know, if those people don't double down and do electrical work, can we give each other work? Or if they do electrical work, that's cool. Hey guys, you can't touch my work at this point. So yeah, diversification, huge topic, lots to think about, lots to discuss. If you do diversify, do it really well. Don't do it half-assed.
No. I think the other thing is we've touched on the specialities there, I guess, at a high level. The next level down I look in diversification sense is, so let's just say you're doing electrical, for example. So within the electrical, like there's the diversification within that. So you could be doing new homes for residential builders, so to speak. So you're doing custom new homes. You might then want to branch out into multi-residential. So you're now working for builders who are of the next tier up, so to speak, and doing unit complexes or multi-residential facilities. Then you can also branch out into commercial. So there's the commercial fit out side of things, and then there's the commercial construction side of things. Then you can branch out into other areas of potential new works as well, which could fall into an industrial area or things like that. So that's just within like a new build area. Then you've got the diversification within your service and maintenance area. So, on a real simplistic level, you've got service and maintenance across the board for residential clients. You've got service and maintenance for your commercial style clients. And then commercial's so diverse because there's commercial in the sense of office, or where people go to work as such, is an easy way to describe it. Then you have commercial facilities that require they're an operational workplace, so to speak. So things I think about like that is like manufacturing, processing plants, facilities, some things like that, where they actually are making something or putting something together. Then another stream of the commercial line is where people go to consume. So like shopping centers, your Woolies, your Coles, your IGAs. So there's a lot of diversification within just the one speciality field as well. And I mean, I'm a strong believer, and I think encourage everyone to have a look at least at a minimum that you carry the service along with the construction. If you're doing that, I don't think you can be dismissive of the service work. And likewise, if wholly and solely you're doing service and maintenance, I think you need to have a look at the spread of service and maintenance that you're doing, because sit down, have a chat with someone who's been in the industry for 20, 30, 40 years. They will be able to pinpoint the times in the economy and exactly what occurred, because the influences that occur over that period. So as soon as interest rates go up, residential construction slows and consumer spending slows, right? However, the commercial style areas, they still operate. They're still workplaces. They still need to be upkept. So that's the sort of next layer that I move down into in the diversification sense. Is, you can be an excellent electrician, but you can have diversification within your electrical field. So it can be based around pure and simply service and maintenance and construction. Then you can go from there and you can build out further and further and further.
Yeah, I can't remember if we said this in this pod or the pod previous, but you were saying that you met a tradie you met your first tradie by a friend of a friend, from family friend, from a unit block, just doing stuff. And it's so you can't say no to, and I really feel like don't be lured into. You need to be able to make small jobs and big jobs work. Any large client will need small jobs done. Any small job could lead to a large client. You have no idea. The amount of people that have been to a call out on a Friday or night or a Saturday or a Sunday and landed some gigantic client from doing a $400 job that their electrician thought was too hard, right? So most people compartmentalize service and maintenance as annoying. A lot of the project guys like super annoying, right? And a lot of the service and maintenance people, or like residential Betty people, and there's nothing wrong, I'm not dissing that they're like, oh, builders suck. And it's like, no, they suck because you've cold called 100 people. You've landed the 10 worst people that are price driven only. Now you don't know how to price. Now you're priced and now you've lost money. You've had a bad experience and now you're projecting that bad experience across a whole industry, right? It's like having an experience with a bad girlfriend and then being like, all girls suck. Or guys, whatever you're into, or them, whatever you're into. Don't really care what you're into, actually. Couldn't care less. But yeah, it's just interesting. It's like, don't just project your negative experience. Like, just because you didn't make it work doesn't mean it doesn't work. So, but yeah, you got to do jobs of all sizes. I think that's incredibly important. And the service and maintenance should be much more profitable, because it's much more easier to communicate a 40% net profit of a smaller amount, because the chain is going to go from $800 to $1,100. Easy to communicate. If your job is going from 80 grand to 110 grand, you're going to want some reputation in that gap, right? or some relationship in that gap. The most people on earth wouldn't go the 110 grand when they can go the 80 grand for the same product. Maybe there's a couple of people that would. Maybe you can challenge that by reputation or relationship, whatever. But like, interesting. So diversification. Do you want to do it? We don't know. We just talked around the question for like 25 minutes. So interesting. No, you gotta. Yes.
I think it's more fundamentally understanding where you want to be diversified in. Do you want to have a wide umbrella that is doing everything? And we've touched on it, and I'm not going to circle back on it all. But you need to understand fundamentally what the capabilities are within your team, where the interests lie, and how big you are and that will indicate, or not indicate, it sort of almost dictates to you what you're capable of doing. Like if you reference back to Crowe, he was the AC guru, and it was actually being detrimental to the rest of his business, because he was spending all the time, every day, every day, doing the AC, while the other four guys were just doing the electrical, and you couldn't keep up. So I think it's understanding the area where you want to diversify into and have an understanding. And I think the thing is be really, really, really good at a few things. You don't have to be average at a lot, right? Just be really, really good at a few things and identify where they are. And look, as you grow and as you build over time, yeah, 100%, you can add in and add in more areas that you've diversified into. But I think let's nail some areas to begin with, and do them really, really well. Because if you're not nailing it and you're having an average experience for your clients, you're always going to be on that merry-go-round of trying to find a new client.
Love that sum up of nailing it. All right, be blessed. See you soon.
Catch ya.